Conservative estimates peg cannabis, or cannabis, to be a $6 billion industry in Canada by 2021. The effect? Tens of thousands of people are scrambling to figure out how to get rich quick from legal pot. So what do you need to know if you want to get rich off cannabis in Canada? Is it too late? Are they just blowing smoke? Joining us now is Terry Donnelly, the CEO of Hill Street Beverage Company, and Terry TAOUSS, a lawyer, entrepreneur, and the president of Tidal Royalty, which is a leading provider of royalty financing to the legal cannabis industry. So welcome to What She Said. So we've got Terry and Terry. Okay, so let's start with you. So while dried cannabis will be legal this year, extracts, edibles, and drinks won't become legal until 2019. But the stuff coming next year is where the biggest profits are expected to be made. Is that right?
Yeah, I think that is undoubtedly going to be the case. I mean, you look at the just the breadth and massive amount of products that are going to be available to come online, and it's going to be something for everybody. I think that's really going to be what consumers are looking for, especially consumers that are new to cannabis, that haven't had a traditional cannabis experience, but maybe feel more comfortable with, a beverage or an edible. So I think absolutely consumer demand is going to be driving it, and that is going to translate into the profits over time.
So and that's what you believe too.
Absolutely, and it's not just us. Deloitte has done a pretty significant study, and their latest projections are that the dried flower industry will be about $6.5 to $7 billion, but the rest of the marketplace, which is the edibles and the pet foods and the beverages and all those pet foods, exactly, those will be somewhere between 13 and 23 billion. So 2 to 3 times the size.
I'm stuck on the pet food thing.
How
does that work?
It's a crazy idea. It makes your pet more chill and relaxed and
okay. All right.
Okay, so then you've opened up a whole other field. I can see Christine's mind's taking off all those hyper little dogs. This would be interesting.
Exactly, but you have to think of cannabis, and I one of the ones, pet food was a mind blower for me as well. But building materials, road surfacing materials, new forms of drywall made out of cannabis, not to mention textiles.
Well, we've been making things out of hemp for generations.
Yeah, 150 years ago, it was the world's most valuable agricultural crop.
I'm trying to imagine a whole baking section at Loblaws. All cannabis.
Oh, it'll be
cannabis, chocolate chip, cannabis flour, cannabis sugar.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, my goodness.
Freshly baked.
Freshly baked. Yeah.
Okay,
the whole cannabis.
A little pun.
Yeah.
Okay, so actually, Terry, tell us a little bit about Tidal Royalty and what exactly it does.
Yeah, absolutely. So Tidal Royalty, we're a publicly traded company on the CSE, the Canadian Securities Exchange, and we provide financing to U.S. licensed cannabis operators. We've taken a product that was pretty prevalent in the Canadian mining industry, which is royalty financing. Mm-hmm. Mines take a lot of capital to get up off the ground to fund the actual build out, and then eventually they start shooting off a sustainable and durable revenue stream. Cannabis is very similar. It takes a lot of money to build a plant, to build the infrastructure to be able to grow and cultivate and manufacture cannabis and cannabis products. So we write checks towards that capital expansion, and in return, we get a percentage of the revenue that those companies generate. So
you say U.S. licensed.
Yes. Our focus, even though we're a Canadian company, is on the U.S. market.
So, but there's been a lot of whining from investors in the States lately who seem to be astounded that Canada could control the cannabis world and they may be missing out. So
yeah, just imagine that the U.S. won't be the leading force in a particular industry. It's hard to fathom, but it really has to do with the way that their markets develop. They, for whatever reason, there is still that federal overhang between what the federal government considers to be legal and what the states consider to be legal. And that is really forcing a lot of the institutional investors and capital to sit on the sidelines, which really creates opportunities for the rest of the world to really step in and fill that void.
So you're a Canadian listed company?
Yes.
But you provide financing only to U.S. companies?
That is correct.
Okay, so what would you be telling people to look for or avoid when it comes to investing?
So it's really interesting because, there are so many companies coming out of both Canada and the U.S. that are in this space. And, it is still a very nascent industry. But at the end of the day, what is really going to matter is the fundamentals of business. Does the company have intellectual property that gives them an advantage? Do they have some sort of brand that consumers are going to ask for? Do they have distribution in place? Does their business model and their unit economics make sense? These are all basic questions that you would ask if you were investing in any other business. But people are so excited about cannabis that they're forgetting to ask these fundamental questions. So I think the starting point is really, is this a viable business? And if it is, the cannabis industry is absolutely one that is going to be a massive one in the future. And there's going to be huge winners coming out of that space.
What is the risk in investing in that sector, do you think? If there is a risk?
Yeah, there's a risk investing in cannabis. It's a nascent market. It's still very new. I mean, we haven't had any recreational sales in Canada yet. It still hasn't reached that point. There is fundamental risk into how this market's going to develop. I don't think there's any question as to will the market be there. I think fundamentally we all believe that it will be. It's just a matter of who are the winners and losers going to be, how is the market going to play out, and how is regulation going to affect all that? And those are all questions that we just don't have answers to, and we can make a best guess, but we are really hypothesizing at this point.
Well, Terry Donnelly, Hill Street's portfolio of brands will be cannabis infused.
Yes. I mean, we currently have a base business of producing alcohol-free wine and beer, and we're now approaching nearly 5,000 stores in Canada where our products are available. But we believe that there'll be even greater upside with the cannabis-infused marketplace simply because I think the curious consumer is going to be looking to try this product. They're going to be looking to experience what it's like, what everybody's been talking about, and to do it in a way that's familiar to them that doesn't include smoking. Smoking is something that's been relegated to the back alley, and what we do is beverages for the dinner table or for, your living room. And so, we think that side of the marketplace is where most of the growth will be. And if you look at, the traditional beverage industry, which is $1 trillion industry worldwide, the commodity inputs are not where the value is. The value is in the brands, and it's in the finished product.
Let me ask you, how available is money for Canadian cannabis companies?
Well, it's never easy to raise capital, and we certainly saw it building our business. It's a very difficult thing to do, but if you've got a great business, if you've got great brands, if you've got a proposal that is a well thought out, well put together proposal, investors will support you. And we've certainly seen that with our business, and we just look forward to continuing to execute to be able to hit the marketplace next fall.
Well, but we're still so many questions still, as you said, a nascent industry about the legal implications, even around crossing the U.S. border. They've kept major players out of the game. We saw that with major soda company a couple of weeks ago. So can you talk about that? How are you going to work that?
Well, we actually look at those as big opportunities because the big players are hindered or cautious relative to the American federal laws. It gives startups like us the opportunity to really get a head start and to start to forge a path in a new industry where the big guys haven't yet stepped into play.
Well, we're all about supporting Canadians.
Yeah, absolutely. So we think there's a great opportunity to be part of this new industry, and we're taking the approach of being a proud Canadian company that produces craft brands that are really built on sort of that handmade artisanal approach, and that's all about quality, taste, and experience. So we think that'll resonate with anybody at any point in time.
Now, next Sunday, we're going to be talking specifically about cannabis and the law. We'll answer questions you may have as to what you're allowed and not allowed to do now that it's legal. So you can send us an email at info@whatshesaidtalk.com or send us a message on social media. We're all at What She Said Talk if you want your questions answered. Terry Donnelly and Terry TAOUSS, thank you so much for joining us today and explaining a little bit about the investment side of the biz.
Pleasure.
Thank you.